As you can see, it's quite straightforward, can't you? And we're in a complicated territory, and I hope to leave you by about 1:45 with a very simplified view of how we might move forwards. I just wanted to share with you, this week I got a new smartphone. We've been talking a lot about technology today and the importance of technology and innovation driving the industry. And in my new smartphone, it monitors my heart rate. Now, I'm not sure what happens, but do I get a notification when it happens? I don't know how this smart technology is going to work on my phone, but I guess it's going to be good for me. It's also measuring my number of steps I do in a day, and in my first day, I met my target. It's the only day I met my target. I've not met it since. So again, you know, it's there. It's keeping an eye on me. The other thing I learnt is I was looking at the Martin Lewis website on student loans. It's really good if you're a parent and you want to work out how much your children you will pay, your children maybe. What's fascinating is that if you are on a full-time undergraduate degree at £9,000 a year, which is nearly all of them, they estimate that 80% of students now will not pay back in the 30-year period, because the interest rate at 3.9% on the loan that is around $50,000 by the time people have borrowed for their maintenance means that what you are paying back and what you're borrowing, you know, the loan is growing over that period, and they estimate that something like 80% of people won't actually pay their loan back in the 30-year period. So it's quite frightening, the actual, the standard, what I call full-time offer. So these are sort of things that have happened to me this week. I thought I'd share them with you. Let me just say something about my role. It sounds grandiose that I'm Director of Higher Education for this joint venture, which is between the University of Hertfordshire and Oaklands College, called University Campus St Albans. I like to think of myself as a Director of MTH, making things happen. Because that's all I try and do, is try and bring together the right sort of folk within the college, within the university, within the industry, to make something happen that can be different to what it was before. And I believe it's important to give an example that I have done this before, rather than just sort of claim to do this, is that in 1998, we set up a fast-track 2-year degree with an integrated NVQ as part of that degree. At the time, I was part of a Trailblazer consortia. So, you know, I've lived and breathed this for many years, and it was revolutionary at the time in terms of education, because they didn't do 2-year degrees. They certainly didn't look at NVQs, because they're, you know, sniffy. So actually to create a 2-year degree at the time was simply revolutionary. And I was very conscious at the time. I was director of training for a large organisation. And my view of education, and I wasn't working in education at the time, was that actually education isn't that accessible to me as an employer, doesn't give me the information I want when I want it, and certainly doesn't deliver what I want, and doesn't allow us to be involved in that delivery. So for me, we were very cautious of who we engaged with in terms of education. And as it happens, we let a contract with the University of Hertfordshire at the time to deliver this particular degree. But that is sort of old stuff. I just want to mention, in relation to the University of Hertfordshire, the one side of the joint venture, the construction is part of a wider built environment agenda at the university. The university is developing a civil engineering degree for next year. We've talked about higher apprenticeships and degree apprenticeships in civil engineering. That is on the university agenda. They've also just developed a degree in architecture. The college's important priority is around higher apprenticeships, both on frameworks and standards, and particularly in the trades, in plumbers, electricians, constructions, assistant site managers and so forth. The college has a wealth of experience in delivering apprenticeships. So I believe that the joint venture, in a sense, is a bit like Hovis, the best of both. Remember that advert? Was it that? It was that. It is the right bread, isn't it? Yes, okay, cool. So the best of both, bringing together the college and the university under one umbrella. And I go to click and nothing happens, of course. I forgot about that. So what I wanted to do was to cover sort of 5 things, really. The vision of what we're trying to do, the why, the what, and what we're going to do from today. Yeah? This is a quote from an interesting document on the future of jobs and skills in the UK construction industry. And that nice, I think we're all going to take to this idea that it's not just a skill shortage, it's a mismatch. It seems to me that we're actually talking about the need for higher level skills. The sort of contributions made this morning, there's been a theme that's permeated about having people who are not in silos, who are thinkers, who can make things happen, who can be adept at developing themselves and helping develop their organisation. The organisations that are going to do well and succeed are going to have people in that industry who can think like that and make a difference to that organisation. And so this quote from CITB of talking about a step change in training provision, a workforce that sees good career paths, adapts to change, embrace upskilling and reskilling, and improvement in standards is what this is about, it seems to me. Just a quick checking on what we've learned so far. I thought it was good to check out learning at this point. So this is a true or false exercise, and you have to participate at this moment. So, an apprentice must be aged between 16 and 24. How many people would say that's true? Good, okay, all right, we're got there. We are thinking of apprentices who could be up to in their 50s. Actually, there is no age maximum to an apprentice. So this is about bringing new blood in, but it's also about looking at, if you like, subsidised CPD training for your existing staff. So you've got to think about both new blood and existing staff, and there is no age limit. Now, you'll all get the answer to this one, because I guess a part-time degree is an apprenticeship by another name. True or false? Well, we know it's false, yes. Yes, yeah. But I think there is a sense in which part-time degrees were, in a sense, an apprenticeship by another name. But the new framework for apprenticeships, or the new standards for apprenticeships, does build in lots of other things into the whole standard. I think it brings together these, you refer to parallel lines, it brings together the world of work-based assessment and the world of academic learning into a more integrated sort of model. So we are into sort of new territory. I did ask the question why we're here. I think everyone here this morning has addressed why we're here. But I had a thought. That's a picture of Boris. This is not a political point, because it's never safe to do a political point at a talk like this. I think it's about changing the image of construction into a very professional image of construction. And I think a lot of the ideas that have come up from this morning are about professionalising the industry so that this becomes a first choice, career choice for many school leavers as well. For me, those are probably 5 of the key reasons why we're here, and we've talked a lot about these things along the way this morning in terms of the skills agenda, but I think the image of the construction industry as a first choice destination for school leavers is fundamental here. The new ways of delivering higher education, I think education is now responding, higher education is now responding to the apprenticeship agenda. Universities are rather, I've worked in universities for the last 15 years, and they are rather oil tanker-like organisations. So they're often driven by an internal world and driven by sort of internal demands about how things are constructed. And I do think employers are wanting something more and wanting something different. And hopefully what I will outline this morning will suggest that we're trying to do that. I just wanted to, that's a picture of, why have I got a Jaguar? Someone, my administrator said, what are you going to do now, she said. And I said, I'm not going to leap at people. I just wanted to mention Jaguar Land Rover, as I think principally a really good model of a degree apprenticeship. Jaguar Land Rover have worked with the University of Warwick to create a degree apprenticeship in engineering. They have a hub and spoke model, so people can do their sort of HNC level at a variety of colleges in the area, and then they all end up at the University of Warwick, a red brick university, to do their final year. What the employee gets is a fantastic work-based training and experience, a wonderful CV. They get professional qualifications, a degree at the end of it, and the company gets a very loyal and dedicated workforce. And I'm told that it's something like 10 applications for every one apprentice. This is something to be really sought after by young people. And I think the more we get companies coming together to say, well, we can have our own degree apprenticeships, we actually young people see as a fantastic opportunity for them, I think that would be for the better for the industry. The way we've got about creating this degree is to actually develop a genuine collaboration between industry and education. I say genuine because I've worked in education where we talk about collaboration, and what we do is we create something and then we go and sell it to industry, and we think we're being collaborative. We started with meeting with people from RE, from Constructing Excellence, both at the local club and also from Don, who has acted as a consultant as Chief Executive of Constructing Excellence, a couple of construction companies, some industry experts and academic staff. Together, we looked at what we would create, we looked at the standards, we looked at the trailblazer requirements, and we've tried to build this up from the bottom up. Now there's loads of more work to be done, but actually we wanted to model collaboration from the beginning to today, where Adrian has been working with us to actually forge these links and actually to develop these relationships in terms of promoting it, but also in terms of delivery, where we actually do not want our students to be taught by only academic staff who haven't been on a site for a long time. It could be potentially dull as dishwater. We have to make this exciting, innovative. We have to bring in industry. We have to get students out into industry. We have to make this something that connects the world of work with what they learn. And if we don't, we fail them and we fail their employers. As straightforward as that. We have no choice but to go forward in this way. Just to say, what is the degree apprenticeship that we're offering at here with the university and the college? It's the University of Hertfordshire Honours degree. The degree comes alongside a very important work-based application. It isn't not just a degree. A degree is the qualification, but this is a process of development. And it's important we see this as a process development. So there is a professional mentor that we will engage people from industry and from academic staff together to offer that professional mentoring to work with the employer, i.e. the person supervising that apprentice, and the apprentice in the workplace to help develop them and to build up their competence towards the CIOB competencies. And we'll be using the CIOB e-portfolio as the sort of tool for that, but it is it's a developmental tool. Competence isn't, you're not competent on day one. I'm still learning to be competent, you know, and may never get there. But the point is, it's a journey, it's a developmental journey, and the skill of the assessor or mentor is to help people along that journey and to work openly with employers. So there's actually a one-stop port of call for the employer who said, well, I've got an issue with what they're studying. I want to find out more. I've got an issue with how they're progressing, or I want to get involved with the course in some way, or I've got someone down the corridor who'd like to do it. We need to have an open, responsive approach to employers that is engaging and actually makes them feel like they're contained and they're getting what they need. So I mentioned the CIB e-portfolio. The obviously other thing that goes with this is the endpoint assessment and chartership, because it's not enough to get your degree, it's not enough to have a wonderful time with your mentor and do your portfolio. You need to get through the endpoint assessment and become chartered, and that's what this is all about. So that is the actual degree in a nutshell, and I'll come on to some of the modules in a bit more detail. So we've covered this before about debt and so forth. I was just going to make that comment, and that actually the degree apprentices might be of any age, and hopefully a more diverse employee workforce going forwards. I just wanted to, this is slightly more complicated, hence I was going to use this at some point. I just wanted to sort of explain the sorts of roles that, well, I just show, it doesn't work on a smartboard. Okay, right, that's gone. Right, okay, I'm going to use the old finger. There's sort of routes into this, right. You may have existing staff in assistant site supervisory roles without any sort of qualification at higher education level. So there is a route into the higher apprenticeship, which is like typically a HNC in construction and the built environment and certified membership of CIOB. You may have, or you may be recruiting school leavers. You want new blood to come in. So you may be looking at school leavers with relevant qualifications, and there'll probably be, well, there will be this bridging level 3 module or year. But that would also be a route into the higher apprenticeship. That route then would go from there into the degree apprenticeship, yeah? That makes sense? This took me a long time to get right, so you've got to give me some nods otherwise. Then you may have existing staff. A lot of companies now have existing staff, often with an HNC or an HND. They may be in-flight training at the moment, or they may be previously trained, yeah? If they are sort of in-flight, you may be looking for them to go on to get their chartered membership, yeah? And to go from the HNC or HND into the degree. Again, that is a route that we would support, and we would offer a route for either the HNC or the HND student. You may be wanting to get new blood in at HNC, HND level. I was talking to a home builder yesterday. They said, well, actually, we might want to get people in, recruit people with HNCs already. They may be staff that you already have, yeah? But they may want to recruit new staff with a bench level qualification. The potential is to create a degree apprenticeship route for them into this route with an HNC in the construction as a prerequisite for doing that, yeah? I've also discovered that you may well have people who are in supervisory trainee roles with non-relevant degrees. And there is, and you mentioned this earlier, the graduate conversion course available, I think, through CIOB online, and maybe some other, I think there may be some talk providers as well of that. It takes people up to that sort of level. And again, they could do the degree, or they could also, you can get your membership without doing the degree. Does that sort of help clarify the sort of routes and roles, ways into the degree? I'm very proud of this diagram. This is innovation in action. Just to let you know the sorts of things that we will be studying. There obviously will be academic modules. We will do this 2 points of entry a year, not 1 point. That took a long argument with the university. That was seen as radical. Yep. The other degrees we've created have 3 points of entry because I believe we should try and have multiple points. The degree won't run over 32 weeks. It will incorporate the third semester. But I have to say, it's not easy for construction firms either. There is a workflow issue in terms of the summer. So it isn't just education that is resistant. I was looking at Tony then. And the things we will have built into sort of core modules into this degree, we've been working very closely with BRE. So there is a whole module on BIM early on into the program, and colleagues from BRE will be delivering that on our site. We'll also be using aspects of BIM later on into the program, but we wanted people to really understand not the technology, although they will have some introduction to the technology, but to understand the process of BIM as a way of managing construction. Because we've got to create a degree that is not future-proof, there's no such thing, but is future-focused and future-orientated. There is a strong sustainability strand here. And we've been engaging some folk from the world of sustainability to help us develop it. So I was thinking of Mike Jacobs, who's here, and I was thinking of Steve Charter, who's also been working with us on creating a whole module around sustainability for construction. But we also build into sustainability on later modules. For example, we are taking the BREEAM site sustainability training that you do here and building that into a later module. So the idea is to sort of have a sustainability strand throughout the program and a BIM strand. Then there are other aspects of this program which I think are what I call more standard for most construction programs. So there's obviously a whole module on project management in its own right, because it's fundamental. There is a leadership and management strand. So it starts off with sort of an introduction to management, but it takes on a sort of leadership focus later on. We have used an acting group, for example, in playing out some leadership scenarios in this leadership module, because actually we found that actually the scenarios give people a real sense of some of the issues for actually playing a leadership role, and rather than purely how you manage. And I think there are some real big issues here when you manage a diverse staff group, not necessarily diverse in terms of, we've gone over race and gender, but actually diversity in terms of roles. And in terms of people you don't employ but are subcontractors. All of this is, and there is a style of management that is seen as paramount in the industry. And actually, how do you get the best out of people in an efficient way so you actually meet what you need for your client in the end of the day? Now, there's some really big issues in terms of managing staff in very diverse roles in complex projects. There's a commercial awareness piece. I think it's the biggest loss in industry is not completing projects on time, and so the whole commercial awareness, the pre and post contract law aspect of this program is quite important to construction site managers. There's a whole technology and innovation piece as well in the program, and there's also a research angle. This is about creating people who are thoughtful, who have leadership skills, who understand thinking about technology, but also thinking about their own development and their ability to be critical thinkers. So actually the research aspect of it is a key part of the CIB educational framework, and it's actually creating people who, the trouble with research is we think of academic researchers out there, not relevant. You want, someone on one of my, I think it was on one of our leadership courses said to me, I won this bid because actually in the bid, I started to cite evidence. And it actually gave actual citations of why they were bidding for something. And so it was the transferable skills of having an evidence-based argument that is so important. And I think it's important to the people that we're working with. Employer benefits. Well, I think we've covered all of this earlier. Can I think I will mention a couple of employer benefits that perhaps aren't obvious. Firstly, working... This is a sales pitch now, so I just sort of give you a forewarning. Working with us is nice. Working with us, it's about accessibility and genuine relationship building rather than about just giving you something that we think we'll take off the shelf and give to you. Yeah? So we would like to work with you in a different way and involve you. We'd like to make sure the content is applied and relevant, and we'd like to think, I often when I go to these events, people offer to give their services, and we will be taking them up because actually the involvement of industry is fantastic. And what I know the industry really wants to do is, whilst these sort of mechanics of all this education is so complicated, actually what they really want to do is share some of the developments and the innovations. And that's what they really want to do. And we somehow create all these barriers to prevent it, So I think, I'd like to say that working with us has some benefits because we're smaller and we can tailor things. Yeah? It's delivered, as I say, with the university in Oaklands as a joint venture, so we have the infrastructure and expertise of the college, particularly in relation to apprenticeships. But also, this degree is validated by and working with the School of Engineering at the University of Hertfordshire, so it is genuinely this join. And we offer free student membership, not only of CIOB, but BRE and Constructing Excellence. And we do have this notion that Adrian and I have talked about, that Constructing Excellence have monthly events. Is it monthly? Quarterly. Oh, okay, I'm wrong. But quarterly events, that's what I meant to say. And we would very much like students to be part of an industry community, not just an academic community. So they're starting to hear about some of the latest thoughts, conversations, and things happening in the industry. So they may come back to your firm and say, what about this? What about that? So it's creating that sort of thoughtful learner is what we're trying to do. I mean, these are the obvious things in terms of benefits to the individuals. We talked about the debt. I think the degree apprenticeship agenda for individuals is so strong. You've covered some of the data about what parents are thinking. The trouble is there's not much out there at the moment. But once there is, I think the individual will be seeking it out. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity for the paths from school into this to be really strengthened. I know Constructing Excellence are doing a sort of doctor school sort of campaign. So I think those relationships at school level are really important. It's not just about what happens at higher education. Just to say in terms of delivery model, how we will deliver this. So for the September 2016, we're planning a sort of regional model. I say regional, it's a day release model, it's typically around 30 days a year, taught on a Friday. So it's a sort of local model. What we would really like to offer beyond September 2016 is that for next year, what I call a hub and spoke national model. So we would plan that as a sort of hub and spoke model where there would be like 6 residential weeks in a year. So it could enable an employer to say, okay, well, we have people being trained all around the country in HNCs, but we want to work with one provider who can provide the consistency in the one relationship to offer that hub and spoke model. So that's what we would very much like to do for the following year. I always believe in walking before running, so getting that going is fundamentally important. Getting the quality right is fundamentally important, but that is part of our aspiration to go down that route for next year. Act now. Peter has kindly plugged the do something today. Send Stephen an email saying, how are you? I would go further than that. Right, so I would suggest, you can send me an email, but if you want to go further than the email, I'd say be part of a Hertfordshire-based solution. There's a fantastic array of Hertfordshire-based construction companies. I don't know if it's one of the highest concentration of construction companies in England, but there is a fantastic array, and I would love Hertfordshire companies to feel they had a provider that they were working with that they felt proud of to work with for the future. So that's part of my act now. You might start to think, well, do I have staff? Okay, September is literally weeks away rather than several months. So it's probably for the degree apprenticeship thinking about existing staff who've probably reached an HNC level or HND level. So it's starting to think, well, do I have relevant staff? Arrange a follow-up conversation. We would love to come and see you. We will talk to you. Adrian and I have been starting to go out, and we like going out. We don't get out much, so invite us. We'll come and see you. And commit to finding 1 degree apprentice from your employer today for September. That was my call to action. Thank you very much for your time.